assignments that are left over. So instead of clicking on understanding concepts, I'm going to go through a PowerPoint that speaks to a lot of what's in there. Because now that you hopefully have had your fourth meeting, you've discussed and you've remembered who is doing what with your group, it's time to actually submit the rough draft assignment. The recommendation report addresses the following questions. What problem are you going to solve? How are you going to solve it? Is it practical to pursue the solution? What are the benefits of it? How much is it going to cost? When and how will you complete the work to get to the solution? Answers like this have to be based on research. I mentioned this in the last video, and that means I want to see some in-text citations, and I need to see the fully completed images like the budget and the Gantt chart. They should be theoretical based on professional parameters, but it should still be feasible kind of guesstimates. And think about how making this a website presentation rather than a traditional report, it changes the format. The writing should be more concise. The report might be hyperlinked. There'll be images to supplement the content. You need caption for relevant images, meaning if it's one of the 6 required images, you need a caption according to the standards that we've practiced throughout this entire semester. If it's a decorative image, it's okay to leave the caption off. Have one person submit the recommendation report to USF Rights and to the peer review discussion board. Individually, anyone in the group can submit parts of the report that they created, not the entire report, to a TutorMe tutor or USF Writing Studio tutor for extra credit. For example, you created the intro and the budget sections. You can paste the images and the text into a Word doc and submit that to an online tutor. To measure group dynamics and participation on an individual scale, the project features Project 4 team participation assignment, and it's worth 100 points. So this 100 points will be based on progress reports and what I see and hear from teammates about individual performance, meaning if you contribute or you don't in a big way towards the Project 4 minor or major assignments, I'll take this into account when entering your 100 points for P4 participation. Password from the day 1 video, because everyone should be using just that one password, this one password for the assignment everyone is going to be submitting this week, and that's the peer review. And it's also a really fun game. You have a break coming up. Take note, you should still work to complete the individual assignment that I've already mentioned, the peer review discussion board. If you do not submit your group's link to the discussion board, then Canvas will not assign your reviewers. So please make sure to submit your group's link on time so you can complete this individual assignment. So we can discuss that when we look at the day 2 assignments together. When I mentioned it before, it might have been confusing for the peer review discussion assignment, but every single person that's part of the group needs to submit a link to the assignment, because that's as if you're turning in your draft, even though it's a group draft, and Canvas is going to automatically assign you with a peer or with 2 peers, like it always has done for these discussion boards, but we'll look at that. Furthermore, when we come back from break, a major assignment is due concerning changes needed to tweak the final draft. It's called the revision planning slides, and we can discuss more about that next week when we are looking at that module. Onto the draft, and it has just so many parts. It has an overview of a very sparse and old example of the assignment. So I wouldn't really use this because it was just one that was kind of slapped together to show students how to use Adobe Spark, which you don't have to use Spark, but it's one of the three you could use. You could use Spark or Sway or Prezi, but eventually you're starting with a letter of transmittal. It should have the teammates' names and X's if they contributed 1 or 2 sections of the report. It's a letter that is professionally aimed at the audience who's interested in the topic, your boss. And then the link for the Sway or the Prezi or the Adobe Spark should be there. Hang on one second. Okay, so let's return to this. You have the letter. It leads to the link. It opens easily to the link. It's shareable. Nobody has to sign in or sign into their Sway account to access it. Make sure it's open to anyone who clicks the link. That's important. And that it opens with a title, table of contents. There's the abstract, your intro, and you can borrow that from the research summary. There's the map that you can kind of cut and paste from Google Maps, or you can use it from TweetMap or an app that creates maps. I don't care, but I need to, see the area and maybe little flags of kind of what you're talking about if that's relevant. Your video, which very quickly in a minute or under outlines your problem, and somebody in the group created it. You can create it using Zoom the way I do and use a PowerPoint. I've seen kids do that and that seems easy. You're talking about the problem, and this is more of the stuff that might come out of the research summary, a data visualization that might come from project 2, or somebody created it. We see everything is still captioned. The solution, and this is stuff you could have gotten from the solution assignments that everyone had to complete individually. And then the social justice solution thing, you can use all of that text or some of it or kind of combine it. And the image that somebody found for the social justice component, maybe you can use that here. Use what you've got. Implementation, somebody should have been responsible for that. And not just the Gantt chart, but you need to write up about it. So it's similar to project 2 where you have an image, but you have to explain it. Just having an image is never helpful in a report because the image by itself is hard for an audience to interpret. They need some text to facilitate that understanding. Same thing for the budget. You don't just slap the budget on there with the header. You need a write-up to explain or analyze the figure. And then a conclusion, and we can see throughout they had some citations. And then a works cited. I'll quickly go through another one. And first they opened it with a Sway or a letter of transmittal. And it led to their link. And you open it up and everything has headers. They had a video they created, visual. Some of their visuals, they made them a little too big. I don't know what happened there. But at least their headers for the budget and schedule are a little bigger than that other one. So that's what you're hoping to do from all of this. It translates to that. And only one person in the group is responsible for uploading it, but that doesn't mean that one person is responsible for putting it, all the text and pictures and stuff. everyone in the group should contribute that to a Google Doc maybe, or some repository where everyone can access it. And then, you know, that person, I don't know, Jennifer slaps it all together and puts the headers on it. We also have the extra credit tutoring, which we've done in the past. But because this is an individual extra credit assignment, what you would do is you would take, like, if you wrote the problem, you would take all of that, put it into a Word doc, and then submit that to the tutor. And then we have that last thing, the peer review, which is an individual assignment. And it has the similar layout, except that maybe Mariah created the sway and turned it in, but the link is accessible to anyone in the group. So you would copy it, everyone within Mariah's group or Brianna's, whoever, and you hit reply. And it helps if you put your group number, or if you're like, oh no, that doesn't really show the letter of transmittal and people are going to say something, you can attach your letter of transmittal to, or maybe even take a screenshot of it and save it as a JPEG, and then it's saved to your desktop and you upload it, and then it just uploads as an image, and then you have your link there. However, everyone in the group needs to post that. So then Canvas will see that you submitted something for peer review, and it's going to automatically group you with your peers. You need to upload it by this date. You need to reply to your peers by this date, thinking about comments that consist somewhat of substance, thinking about these things. And when you reply, you should be replying to that person's upload and not in those weird little comment boxes, so they can see it easier. And that's really it. And you should enjoy your break in whatever way you can, and still reach out to your group as needed.